Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Living by Design, and I am Salatu. In the last segment, we talked about the difference between our collective purpose as human beings and individual purpose. We said our collective purpose, based on the title that our divine designer has given us, is that we are to stand for his principles, bring to life his will, to care for ourselves and for others and for the earth, to receive the earth from others, to inherit it, so to speak, and then to pass it on from generation to generation, from age to age. No one will be here forever. We are born and we die. When we die, we return to him. And when we return, we give account of how we fulfilled that purpose, how we represented him, how we cared for ourselves, how we cared for the earth, how we handled the inheritance that is this earth, and how well we passed it on to others. That is an enormous responsibility. To help us give good account, he has given us tools, he has given us gifts, and these gifts I call seeds. He plants seeds within each one of us. Then he placed us in contexts where each of us gets a variety of experiences and opportunities that actually help us to fulfill our life purpose. Let's talk about the seeds I referred to. The way we are crafted, each one of us is specially designed with a unique combination of seeds. Seeds is still the best word to use to describe it. Some people would say gifts, some would say talents, some would say interest or passion. I just love to use the word seeds because it connotes the fact that this is something that's inside of you. And if you were to nurture it, give it attention, it grows into something more. It blooms. It also connotes the fact that it's not yet fully evident and that you are the one to bring it forth. Your seeds make you unique because there's a special combination that each person has. It takes time and effort to find the seed, to understand it, to name it. It's like the features of a phone or a car or some other machinery or equipment. It takes time to understand how those features work, how they work individually, how they work together. The strength of that seed is guaranteed from the beginning, but by careful exploration, you start to understand how best to use it. Don't forget this fact. You have your own combination of seeds, and the seeds make you unique. Let's talk about some of the seeds that people have already planted in them from the moment of their existence. Linguistic is one of them. There are some people who are very comfortable with languages. Comfortable means they learn languages easily. They pick them fast. They may not actually have been exposed to more than 2 or 3 languages, but what they know very well, and learning a new language is easier for them than for most other people. There are some people who are very comfortable with logic, abstract thinking, making sense, putting things, ideas together in a way that it makes sense to people. There are others that are very visual, and visual can mean in terms of colors. They identify colors. They see the nuances between shades of color. They remember colors. It's like they can take pictures in their heads in full color. Visual for some people also means they remember features, characteristics of people's faces when they see them for the first time. Some people love words. They're highly verbal. They love to write. They love to read. They love to speak. Then you have those who are mathematical. They like numbers. I don't like numbers. Numbers mix my brain up. I feel all the neurons in my head misfiring when I come up against numbers, especially written numbers. But there are some people that are excited by numbers. They would rather solve the toughest mathematical problem than read a book. Then some people, their seed has to do with rhythm, understanding the beat of sound, whether that sound is a song, whether that sound is the recitation of the Quran, whether that sound is poetry, but they remember and they understand rhythm. For some other people, manual dexterity, the use of their hands. They can weave, they can craft, they can make, they can mold, they can sculpt very easily. They love, they enjoy these things. There are those for whom it's more bodily control. You see this seed apparent in gymnasts, swimmers, athletes, and even people who can dance very well. For some people, their seed is in identifying space, measuring space with their eyes, knowing how to work within space. These are the people who get really happy and comfortable laying out a home, landscaping. For some people, they have the seed of intrapersonal connection. They understand themselves very well. They can see themselves. They easily become self-aware. They do not struggle as much as others struggle to get to know themselves. Now it's possible that you might have a seed, yet you struggle to bring that seed forth. There are other reasons that could lead to that struggle, and we'll talk about those reasons. That doesn't mean the seed isn't there. For some people, their seed is more interpersonal, between them and others. They know how to make people feel comfortable. They slide easily into conversation, even with strangers. They interact well with other people. They know what moves people, what motivates them. Now, I've mentioned some seeds, but I know that's not all. For some people, it's interacting with little children. That's their seed. They know how to immediately become children again, no matter how old they are. For others, it's organizing people, bringing people together, connecting people. For some, it's organizing an event, bringing an event, a series of programs to fruition. I've not covered all seeds. There are people who feel strongly connected to nature, to plants, to animals. There are others who feel strongly connected to water, rivers, seas. If it's water, then they are connected to it, they are drawn to it. So how do you know that you have a seed? How do you identify your seed? I've mentioned a good number of these seeds. The question for you would then be, so how can I identify this seed? Identifying your seed requires just a few pointers, a few hints, a few clues. There are clues that you could use to identify your seed. The first, and I think the strongest clue, is that this is something you feel drawn towards. You will do it even if nobody asked you to. You will do it even if no one paid you to. Even if no one acknowledges that you've done it, you just feel a sense of satisfaction. I did it. And you continue to feel drawn to it even when you do not yet know how to do it perfectly. Another way to put this is, even if people tell you not to do it, if they stand in your way and stop you from doing it, you would find your brain keeps coming back to it. Now, I know that sounds like a toddler who's just learning to walk. And even though people say, don't touch that wire, don't pull that cord, toddler keeps wanting to pull the cord. Now, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that's beautiful, that's useful, that's not harmful, that's not wrong, that you feel drawn to doing. I'll use myself as an example. When I was about 3, 4, I think more like 4, 5, there was this aunt who, whenever she was coming to visit, she would always bring a book for us. And I always was excited once that book arrived. I wanted to read the story. I wanted to picture what it felt like. From the age of 5, I remember that clearly. I loved those books. They had pictures and the stories were wonderful. And over the years, she kept bringing us books and I kept reading each one. She once demonstrated to me what I used to do whenever I was lost inside a book and somebody called me, asked me to go on an errand. I would stand up, she said, and I would still hold the book in front of me and I would be going and trying to read at the same time as I was going on this errand. It used to drive the adults crazy. But I was so lost in my stories, so drawn to the words in those books and what the words were telling me, that nothing else seemed to matter at that point. When I grew a little older, I developed an interest in teaching people. Sometimes I would teach my younger brothers, and if there was no younger brother to volunteer to be a student, I would teach imaginary students. I would bring home stubs of chalk that the teacher had let fall on the ground because they were too little to write with. And I would take the little blackboard that my mom used for coaching us whenever we had major exams, and I would be writing stuff and teaching nobody in particular. I was drawn, it seemed, at one time to teaching, to reading, to stories. Over time, I've learned to articulate what that seed is. My reading, my love for stories, telling them, writing them, reading them, my love for teaching, are all manifestations of a seed. The seed is a love for meaning. It's a love for constructing meaning, for finding meaning, for digging deep into something and coming up with something meaningful. What we've done in this segment really is to go over some of those seeds that help you identify the personal purpose that Allah has put for each one of us. Is to help you identify those tools that He has already planted within you that will help you live out your purpose, our purpose, the human purpose. We talked about seeds that have to do with language, with words, with numbers. We talked about the seeds to do with being able to manipulate your body, to get your body to do what you want it to do. We also talked about the use of your hand, the use of your brain, being able to interact with others easily, understanding yourself, being able to judge space, rhythm, love for nature, passion for water bodies, for understanding how seas and rivers work. These are all seeds. And we talked about one way of identifying your seed is to ask yourself, what am I drawn to do? Even if nobody asks me to do it, I'll do it. Even if they don't pay me to do it or cheer me on for doing it, I'll do it. Even if they criticize me or try to stop me, my brain will still draw me back there. In the next segment, we'll talk about other clues for identifying your purpose. Then we will start to explore each person's seeds. Thank you very much for listening. Don't go too far. Stick around. Thank you.